You won't believe where Cypress, Texas home buyers are coming from. Listen, everybody assumes that Cypress buyers are just Houston families moving from suburb to suburb. But the truth, the people flooding into Cypress right now are coming from places that will genuinely shock you. We're talking thousands of buyers packing up from states and cities that have completely different climates, cultures, price tags, and every single one of them choose Cypress specifically. Not Katy, not Sugarland, not the Woodlands, Cypress itself. Whether you're relocating yourself, you're already a homeowner here, or you're just trying to figure out if Cypress is the right move. This data tells a story that nobody in the real estate market is talking about honestly. The #1 most moved to zip code in the entire United States in 2025 was Cypress, Texas. Not a city, not a metro, one zip code. Let that sink in. So, where are all these people coming from, you might ask? Let's get right into it, of course. Hi everyone, I'm Natasha Carroll here with Natasha Carroll Realty. Welcome back to the channel. I help families from all over the country relocate to the greater Houston area every single day. From Cypress to the Heights, to Memorial, to Katy, to Richmond, Bel Air, Spring, Memorial. These are my neighborhood. I know them inside and out, and I know exactly who is moving into them and why. Today's video is one I've been wanting to make for a really long time because of the migration story behind Cypress is absolutely wild these days. We're going to dig into the real estate data, talk about where the buyers are coming from, why they're choosing Cypress over every other option out there, and what that actually means for the market going forward. Now, let's talk about the people behind this migration wave, because the numbers are genuinely shocking. The #1 zip code in America, that's pretty wild. Let's start with the stat that sets the entire stage for this conversation. According to Moving Place, Cypress 77433 zip code recorded 3,638 inbound moves in 2025, more than any other zip code in the entire country. Not Houston, not Dallas, not Austin, Cypress, Texas. The single most moved to zip code in America. Now that's wild. And Hoodline confirmed it from the buyer side. Open Door named 77433 as one of the top 2 hottest housing markets in the country. And the HAR data showed Cypress with the move-in ratio of 246 inbound moves for every 100 outbound moves in 2024. That means for every person leaving Cypress, almost 2.5 people are moving in to actually replace them. Here's where it gets interesting, I would say. People hear the stats like that and they assume everyone is coming from within the Houston metro area. Families upgrading from Katy or first-time home buyers from the inner loop. And yes, some of the intra-Texas movements is real. But when you look at where the long-distance buyers are actually coming from, the picture is much bigger. And I would say it's definitely way more surprising. So let's talk about the states sending the most buyers to Cypress. And I bet you have already guessed it. California, of course. It's the biggest sender. You've already suspected California. You probably saw that one coming in, but the scale of it is still pretty incredible to me. An analysis of the U.S. Census data by Texas Realtor found that about 102 Californians moved to Texas in 2022, the largest state-to-state relocation in the country that year. And the trend has continued. One migration study tracking the millions of moves from 2024 to 2025 found that California made up over 14% of all out-of-state moves in Texas, more than any other state. That's pretty wild. And a big portion of those buyers are ending up in Northwest Houston, including Cypress. Data from the Houston Association of Realtors show Californians has consistently been on the largest source of outcome state buyers coming into the area, of course. So many buyers are selling in California and they're getting dramatically more space, newer homes. They're moving into master plan communities here, and often for a fraction of what they were paying before, or if they decided to move somewhere else in California. But California isn't the only state sending buyers here. And some of the next ones on this list are ones that actually are surprising people. The Texas Shuffle, buyers from within the Lone Star State, is probably the next one. Here's something the national migration headlines tend to overlook. A massive portion, I would say, of Cypress buyers aren't crossing the state lines at all. They're coming from right here in Texas. And the intrastate movement pattern, it's pretty fascinating, I would say. According to Hire Helper Migration Analysis, 84% of all moves in Texas over the last year were within the state. People aren't just coming from California and New York. They're moving from inner loop Houston neighborhoods to Cypress, from Katy to Cypress, from the Woodlands to Cypress, when they want to be closer to Highway 290 and the Energy Corridor, of course. They're moving from Sugarland when they find the Northwest Houston pricing is just more favorable. It's really something to think about. So here's what that means on the ground. Cypress is attracting buyers from both directions. Out of state, relocators landing in Texas and choosing Cypress, and longtime Texans from other metros discovering that Cypress checks their box that their current city just simply doesn't. So it's not just, of course, out of state. Now, let's talk about the state that quietly ranks second in terms of buyers coming to Cypress. And this one, it genuinely, I would say, surprises people, of course. Let's pause for a second and look at the big picture. So far, we've talked about two major trends: buyers moving from California and people relocating from within Texas. And what that shows is something important. Cypress isn't attracting just one type of buyer. It's pulling people from all over with different budgets, different backgrounds, and of course, different reasons for moving. But they're all landing in the same place, of course. And if you're thinking about relocating here, having the right information makes a huge difference. That's exactly why I put together my free relocation guide. It breaks down the neighborhoods, the schools, the cost of living, and details most people learn until they actually have moved in. You can grab it in the description box below. It'll save you a lot of research, of course. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. Because the next states sending buyers to Cypress actually surprised a lot of people, especially Florida and Illinois. Florida and Illinois and Colorado, the surprise senders, we would call them. Florida is a name that comes up a lot in the migration conversation, but usually as a destination, not an origin, I would say. Why are Floridians leaving? According to Redfin, the migration into Florida, it slowed down significantly in 2024. Tampa saw its net inflow drop to just over a third of what it was the years before. Florida still has no state income tax, but for many buyers, the insurance exposure and the heat exposure are becoming harder to really justify. Cypress, by contrast, give Florida buyers everything they love about the lifestyle: the warmth, the suburban feel, the family-forward communities, without some of the climate risk anxiety that building in the coastal and South Florida market. And the Texas housing market, while not cheap, still offers significantly better price per square footage ratios than South Florida's current market. Now, let's talk about Illinois. According to both Hire Helper data and multiple migration studies from the United Vans Lines and Atlas Vans Lines, Illinois ranks consistently among the top outbound states year after year. Chicago buyers tend to have a very specific motivation. Illinois has some of the highest property taxes in the nation, a state income tax of 4.95% on all income, and a challenging physical situation at the state level that many residents, I would say, find concerning for the long term. Colorado is another one worth mentioning. Colorado buyers tend to be younger families priced out of the Denver or Boulder market who still want outdoor access, quality to schools, but they cannot keep up with the front range pricing. Now, here's the part of migration story that ties everything together, and it's the revelation that changes how you think about Cypress in their long-term trajectory, of course. What is this migration map actually means for the Cypress? What's the true revelation, you might ask? The buyers coming to Cypress from California, from Florida, from Illinois are not the average buyers in the Texas market context. Many of them are arriving with equity, significant equity. When equity-rich out-of-state buyers enter the market, they compress the lower price points and lift up the higher price ranges simultaneously. They can outcompete local first-time buyers on offers. They're more likely to purchase in the higher end master plan communities, and their spending power directly fuels demand for custom homes, luxury finishes, and of course, premium community amenities that Cypress developers, they just keep building. So it's really something to think about. Now, here's the nuance. I always make sure to share, according to Redfin, broader market data, some parts of Cypress market showed price softening in 2025, with medium sales price in certain segments down slightly year over year. But Zillow's estimates data and Redfin's sales data can vary because they measure different things and they capture different segments of the market. Redfin tends to track actual closed sales, which can skew towards specific price tiers that move in a given month. The migration tailwind underneath Cypress is not going away. Texas continues to lead the country in population growth, adding hundreds of thousands of residents annually in the recent census estimates. The largest numeric population increase of any state in the country. Let that sink in. According to Hire Helper, California, Florida, Illinois, Colorado, and Arizona are all continuing to send buyers to Texas at sustained rates. And Cypress specifically, with Cy-Fair ISD, its location relative to the energy corridor and its master plan infrastructure captures a disproportionate share of inbound traffic. The buyers, they're going to keep coming. The question is whether you position yourself ahead of the wave or you're behind the wave. Something for you to think about as you're considering Cypress. So let's bring all of this together. The story of who is buying in Cypress in 2026 is a story about a market that has become genuinely national in scope. California is the biggest origin state by a wide margin, of course, driven by the massive affordability gap between coastal California pricing and what Cypress offers in terms of home size, school quality, and overall, I would say, lifestyle. Florida comes in second, with buyers fleeing rising insurance costs and a cost of living that has eroded much of the Sunshine State's value proposition. Illinois, particularly Chicago, sends a steady stream of families who are done with the harsh winters and, of course, the high taxes. And within Texas itself, buyers from Dallas, from Austin, and from San Antonio are discovering that Cypress offers something that home markets can no longer deliver at a reasonable price point. All of these streams are flowing into the same direction. Number one zip code most moved to, a zip code in the entire country. And they're bringing equity, they're bringing ambition and long-term commitment with them. That is the foundation of Cypress market strength. Not hype, not a headline, but a real and diversified migration engine that shows, I would say, no signs of stopping, especially with the expanded growth that's taking place. So if you're watching this video because you're thinking about making a move to Cypress, or if you're already here and you want to understand exactly what this migration wave means for your home value, I want to help you personally. So don't forget, you can always reach out. And before you do anything else, please download my free location guide. It has the neighborhood breakdowns, the school ratings, the cost of living, and all the details you need to feel confident about your move. The link is right there in the description, of course. If you want to go deeper into one of the markets and why the market and what's driving the migration story, make sure you watch the next video right here on the best neighborhoods in Cypress. I break down every major community and I tell you exactly who each one is right for, of course, because every neighborhood is not right for everybody. I'm Natasha Carroll. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.